watchword of the month, holy mackerel. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Greg Gumbel. Welcome to CBS Sports' exclusive tip-to-trophy coverage of the NCAA tournament. Today, we begin the journey down that winding road to the Final Four, which ends up in San Antonio with the national championship. Helping sort it all out are Clark Kellogg, who appeared in a pair of NCAA tournaments with Ohio State, and Dean Smith, who coached a pair of NCAA champions at North Carolina. You know, I can tell these are excitable times because we need to find you a seatbelt. You can't sit still.
You know what it reminds me of? 64 companies all going public at the same time with varied histories, different earnings momentum, but the only team that can have the claim on best return on assets is the one at the end of 3 weeks that can say they're the champion.
What a business mind.
Yeah, he majored in business, but you know, the higher seed is supposed to wear the light jerseys, and they aren't all going to win today.
All right, Coach. And Clark, we begin the day with the Beast of the East. The nation's top team, the North Carolina Tar Heels, tip off at 12:20 against Patriot League power Navy. Others will see the East clash between 6th seed Xavier, the Atlantic 10 tournament champ, and the 11th seeded Washington Huskies. And some of you will see the West region tip off at 12:40 as 7th seed Temple faces 10th seed West Virginia. Then our 2:40 Eastern block of games is headlined by the 4th seed in the West, Maryland, taking on Utah State. Coming up, we'll hear from North Carolina coach Bill Guthridge before his first NCAA tournament game as a head coach when the road to the Final Four continues after this.
From downtown Hartford, Connecticut, a day of great basketball all set for the Hartford Civic Center. It's the first and second rounds of the East Sub-Regional. And our first game, the 16th seeded Navy Midshipmen against the #1 seeds, North Carolina. And the bracket, North Carolina Navy, the first game, followed by UNC Charlotte, Illinois Chicago, Princeton UNLV, and the nightcap, Michigan State and Eastern Michigan. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Hartford. I'm Gus Johnson along with John Sunvold on the biggest and the best day of the year as we kick off the 1998 NCAA tournament. And North Carolina Navy, the first game. North Carolina, what a job Bill Guthridge has done. The ship continues to sail smoothly, and it helps when you have a guy named Antoine Jamison on your team.
Yeah, you're right, Gus. Antoine Jamison, who most people think will be player of the year this year. Nearly 23 points and over 10 rebounds a ball game. He's fast, he's strong. What you want to watch for this afternoon is his ability on offense to get open without the basketball.
Now for Navy, they advance to the tournament by knocking off Lafayette in the Patriot League tournament. This is the third time in the last 5 years that they've advanced to the NCAAs, and their leader, a scrappy point guard named Michael Heary.
Yeah, Michael Heary was an off guard for 3.5 years. Now he's a point guard. Back in December, they're 15-5 with him. Had the big win over Lafayette. He had 26 points. What Michael wants to do today, play a near-perfect ball game. Handle the basketball, make open shots, and try to do the unthinkable. Try to upset North Carolina.
Third member of our team roaming the sidelines today, Armin Katayan.
Gus, just moments ago, I spoke to Navy coach Don DeVoe. I asked him what he told his team before the game. He said he reminded them what it means to be a midshipman, to be battle-ready, to overcome adversity. As for North Carolina, Antoine Jamison, I spoke to him. He said his groin injury is fine, and North Carolina, he said, is ready to roll.
All right, Armin, and the starting lineup. We start with the midshipmen, Hassan Booker, Matt Slatke, Josh Williams. In the front court with Michael Heary and Skip Victor. A dynamic backcourt in the backcourt. Meanwhile, for the Tar Heels, Antoine Jamison, Ademola Okalaja, Bakhtar Jai in the front court with Vince Carter and Shamond Williams in the backcourt. And the head coach for the North Carolina Tar Heels, 30 years as an assistant under Dean Smith. His first year as the head coach, Bill Guthridge. He's the ACC Coach of the Year, and today he was named the Sporting News Coach of the Year. And the officials, Tom Harrington, George Evans, and Eric Harmon. So North Carolina, 30-3 on the season, 13-3 in the ACC. They won the tournament, beating Duke against Navy, 19-10 on the season, and we are underway. The NCAA tournament, the East, North Carolina, the #1 seed against Navy, seeded number 16, and a turnover on the first possession for the Tar Heels.
And Don DeVoe's ball club will play man-to-man defense. Historically, his teams always have. We will see at some point this afternoon if he tries a little bit of zone.
Michael Heary draws Shamond Williams. Heary, 4th all-time leading scorer at Navy. Josh Williams and Hassan Booker guarded by Antoine Jamison.
Carolina man-to-man defense. Navy has to handle the basketball each possession and find open shots, and right away off to a good start by Slatke.
Matt Slatke, a junior from Wadsworth, Ohio, nails the three-pointer, and the midshipmen take an early lead. Vince Carter to the basket, and he swoops in and lays it off the glass.
Big, strong bodies. North Carolina has a lot of them. Carter, one of the finest in the country at going to the hole.
Vince Carter, first team All-ACC. Williams drop step on the baseline, forced it up, and it's ripped down by Antoine Jamison.
Don DeVoe said yesterday, Gus, we just have to play as hard as we can and play our game. We can't do too many things that we haven't done all season long.
Knocked away. Second turnover. Here's Booker inside. Great look, Slatke. Header rejected, though, by Jamison. Williams in transition. Pull up three-pointer. Got it.
His shooting may be the key for this ball club to win a national championship. He brings everybody out. When he gets on a roll, he's one of the best players in the country shooting the basketball.
They call it a 2. His foot on the line. Inside Williams again. And it's contested by Maktar Jai. Shamond Williams, second team All-ACC with the basketball. And an offensive foul called against the Tar Heels.
Gus, not the pace of game that the Naval Academy want right now. Up and down will favor this Carolina blue.
And I asked Don DeVoe yesterday, what's the strategy taking on the #1 team in the country? He said, well, we're going to get up early, or we're not going to give them back the lead. So it's pretty simple.
Yeah, we talked about it. He started mentioning, you know, it was fun in the old days when you didn't have that shot clock. You could get up about 2 or 3 to nothing and then pull the ball out to half court, run a lot of 4 corners.
Antoine Jamison called for the foul. Carolina in the zone.
Patience on offense, a lot of body movement, ball movement. When the shot clock gets down to around 10, then start finding some opening.
6 on the shot clock. Hassan Booker inside. Williams, reverse layup, won't go. Tipped up and in, though, by Skip Victor, the junior from Cerritos, California.
Well, Victor coming off the MVP of the Patriot Tournament, where he was outstanding. Last 4 ball games averaged over 16 points. He had 18 in the championship game against Lafayette.
Was a great football player, wide receiver coming out of high school. Wanted to play basketball, however. Jump hook inside, Maktar Jai. The senior from Dakar, Senegal. Played his first couple of years at the University of Michigan with Jawan Howard. Carolina going up 6-5, 17-10 to go in the first half of play from Hartford. #1 versus #16, Carolina and Navy. Slatke around the screen. To the basket, pull-up jump shot. And it's tapped out, recovered by Williams. Carter got the step on the baseline, cut off nicely, though, by Slatke.
And Navy playing man-to-man defense, but they are sagging inside. They're not guarding Okalaja. They're not guarding Jai outside. They're daring them to shoot the basketball.
Third turnover for North Carolina, and coming into this game, many of the assistants for Navy wanted Don DeVoe to play a 2-3 zone. However, he's a man-to-man coach, and it seems as if, Don, he's kind of made some changes there, sagging down on that North Carolina offense.
Well, what a lot of coaches do that run man-to-man strictly will do some soft man-to-man and play back off. A bomb that time by Michael Heary, and that's a good start for that man.
Bobbed inside, rebounded by Williams. Now, don't forget, some of you will see West Virginia and Temple coming up in a few minutes. 12:40 tip-off time.
See if Damian Owens and Adrian Pledger can solve that Temple zone defense.
Those two teams very familiar with each other. West Virginia playing in the Big East now, but prior to that, they played for years in the Atlantic 10. Dale Catlett and John Chaney very familiar with their systems.
And they're going to sag off Ed Cota also and dare him to make shots. So very soft man-to-man. They're going to stay on Carter. They're going to stay on Jamison.
Here's Slatke again at it, blocked by Njai, out of bounds. We stay right here. Timeout on the floor, 15:43 to go in the first half of play. Navy leading it by a deuce.
thought you were going to buy some Bud Light.
Do you see any Bud Light?
No. Well, then.
For the great taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down, make it a Bud Light.
Where'd you find that one?
Behind the milk.
There are a lot of things that make it.
15:43 to go in the first half of play. Navy leading North Carolina 8-6, and the Microsoft Databank. How about this? The last time North Carolina was in the NCAA tournament without Dean Smith was 1959. The opponent, Navy, and the Tar Heels lost that game 76-63. Bill Guthridge, very aware of that statistic. He's trying to snap the streak. Ed Cota into the game for North Carolina. With Williams in the corner, feeding the low post. Jamison turns, leans, and scores.
And Jamison looked like he got poked in the eye on that move, Gus. It was the first time that Navy's turned the ball over, and North Carolina got a chance to run. Jamison went right to the block. We'll see if he's okay.
Antoine Jamison into the ACC tournament. Played with a groin injury. The injury is fine. He was the most valuable player of the ACC tournament, also the most valuable player of the regular season in the ACC.
Take a look at the low post position. This is where he's so valuable. Once they made the turnover, now check. It's hard to tell if he got poked or elbowed.
So Jamison may have gotten popped in the nose.
Yeah, might have a bloody nose over there.
The junior, Antoine Jamison, from Charlotte, North Carolina, was named the Player of the Year by the Sporting News today.
Yeah, what a year he's had, huh?
Great young basketball player. Tied at 8 apiece, 15-24 in the first half of play. Number 16 seeded Navy against number 1 seeded North Carolina. Maxar Jai with the steal. Ahead Dakota, knocked out of bounds by Skip Victor.
A good steal by Jai. Navy thought they had an easy one. Jai very active inside, and once they make the steal, they are off to the races. But North Carolina early in this game so far, they have 5 turnovers against a soft Navy defense team.
Don't forget, coming up, West Virginia and Temple out west. In a few minutes, some of you will be going there. Luke Elijah rattled out. Loose ball picked up by Vince Carter. Baseline jump shot. And it's ripped down by Skip Victor. Surprised that Navy is playing with North Carolina at this point.
I like the strategy. Make someone else beat you besides Carter and Jamison, and they're doing that. Elijah forced up the long shot. They're going to have to make some shots. Carter was frustrated. He got the rebound and then took a quick second shot maybe.
And the turnovers so far 5-3 North Carolina. With 5 turnovers, they only average on the season 13.
And Ed Cota probably will not play against a softer man-to-man defense all season long.
And look, we're here. He is sagging all the way into the lane, guarding Ed Cota. Williams got to the basket, and he draws the foul.
Yeah, Ed Cota can probably walk in and shoot about a 10-foot shot. Michael Heary's going to allow that to happen. Take a look at the defense. You see Michael Heary sagging off. Now they have to guard Shimon Williams. His quickness with the dribble and his ability to shoot jump shots. They have selected with a strategy certain players not to guard.
So Shimon Williams, the senior from Greenville, South Carolina. First free throw is good, and he's great from the line, 89% on the season. Shimon just recently broke Donald Williams' three-point record at North Carolina, 222 to 221.
And on track to break Jeff Lebo's free throw record. If he continues his pace at 89%, we'll have the single season. And if career's 84, the record 83-9. Jeff Lebo, the assistant in South Carolina, just took the Tennessee Tech job. But he will finish out and see if the Gamecocks can get on the roll in the tournament.
Here's Hassan Booker freeing himself. Let it go and buried it. 14:07 to go in the first half. We're tied at 10 apiece. Navy hanging with North Carolina to begin this game. Ed Cota, and they dared him to shoot, and he buried it for 3. 13-10.
Kind of like playing a playground, Gus. In fact, that people dare you to do some things. And Cota that time, he has to come down. If he has that shot, he might as well shoot it. Does not shoot a lot of three-pointers. He's shot only 23 all season long, but he may step inside that three-point line, just start knocking in jump shots.
So the sophomore from Brooklyn, New York, got the three-pointer to go. 13-10. Skip Victor at the line for 2. So Skip Victor on the season averaging 9 points a game. And the first free throw is good. He was the Patriot League tournament MVP. 49 points in 3 games, including 18 in the championship against Lafayette.
A very loose individual. Watched him practice yesterday. This Naval team came in here and had some fun this morning as they're warming up. Victor was joking around. He's already laughing with the North Carolina players. And this team's loose. They feel they can pull off the biggest upset in NCAA history tournament.
Victor with 4. A lot of these Navy players all this week have been going around saying Chaminade, Chaminade. Remember when Virginia lost to Chaminade in Hawaii, I believe it was 82. Jamison inside fouled by Josh Williams, and they feel that they can be a team that can pull off, which would be the biggest upset in college basketball history.
And why not? You know, you slow down the pace, you play defense in a way to make someone else beat you. Don DeVoe has been through all the wars, been different teams. Virginia Tech was outstanding. Tennessee had some great ball clubs. A quick stop at Florida, and has found a home right here for the Naval Academy.
So Antoine Jamison, 6'9", 223-pound junior from Charlotte at the free throw line, and the first one rattling out. He's a 68% shooter on the season. He was fouled by Josh Williams, and a lot of people are asking Antoine, are you going to leave college early? But according to him, he really likes Tim Duncan and Keith Van Horn, how they stayed in college for 4 years. He models himself after those two guys.
Well, let's hope he stays.
Don't forget West Virginia Temple. Some of you will be going out west to see that game shortly. And a corner jump shot, Hassan Booker nails it, and North Carolina allows Navy to tie it up at 14 apiece.
You know, Gus, you mentioned that Temple, West Virginia, and a great matchup, but they're two teams that teams hate to prepare for, and that's Princeton and Temple, because you don't have enough time to play against their style and have a couple days of practice. So Gail Catlett used to many things, but the players will be a little bit surprised how aggressive John Chaney's zone defense is.
Matchup zone always nasty against opponents, especially in March. Maxtar Jai at the line.
Gus, I would expect Carolina to pick the pace up a little bit defensively. Put some more pressure on the ball, whether it's full court or even in a half-court set. Get after the dribble a little more. Increase the tempo, allow them to run, get some breaks, get some steals. If they continue to set back and let Navy run their half-court offense, it's going to be a slow-down game. It's going to be in the 50s, and that's a tough ball game to win sometimes.
Ademola Okulaja checking back into the game. Jai's second free throw is good. 16-14, 13:04 to go in the first half. North Carolina leads Navy. Here's Booker, pull-up jump shot. Rebounded, Victor, and it's blocked, and Jai with the recovery. Go to the other way. Vince Carter wide open for 3, and he got it. So Vince Carter, who according to his coaches has taken a lot more pride in his defense instead of his offense, with the offense clicking in right there for him.
He still has a little firepower on that offensive end.
No doubt about it. And another turnover for the midshipman on the baseline, number 4. Here's the bracket: Arkansas, Nebraska, Utah, San Francisco, Temple, West Virginia, and Cincinnati, winners of Conference USA against Northern Arizona. Jamison jump hook on the baseline, and he got it. 12:21 to go. Carolina leading at 21-14. 12:13 to go in the first half. Navy trying to hang around with Carolina. Tar Heels lead at 21-14.
Now all of a sudden again on defensive end, they picked up the pressure and they've started blocking shots, hurrying the Naval team, and North Carolina's been able to push it and get some easy baskets on the other end, but they have 6 turnovers. Uncharacteristic. Here's the penetration, the help out defensively, and an easy block for Brendan Haywood.
7 unanswered points for the Tar Heels. They back up into the 2-3 zone. Coming into this game 30-3. Their only losses to Maryland, NC State, and Duke in the ACC.
And a tough zone because of how tall and how long the arms are across the front. When Vince Carter's out front, he's 6'7", reaching across there. They'll make some adjustments and slide to basically a 3-2 across the front.
6 on the shot clock. In the corner, here's Victor. He's got to get it away to the basket. And it's into the hands of Ademola Okulaja. Cota knifing down the floor. Hayward back to Cota. Lost it on the deck. Picked up by Victor. Midshipmen want to run.
And good break for Navy because Victor forgot to sag off Cota. Would have got caught on the cut. Here's not a good pass.
Here he coming up short. Hassan Booker. And he is keeping him in it. Hassan Booker with 6 points. 11:03 to go. 21-16 Tar Heels.
Well, Booker's tough. Tenacious young player. He doesn't get a lot of shots outside. Works more on the inside, but only 6'2". He's not going to get many inside shots this afternoon.
He's a senior from Los Angeles. And the ball knocked out of bounds, and we head the other way. 10:48 to go. Navy really scrappy. They trail 21-16.
For the game to visualize locking him up during the game. Big question is, do they have the combination to Antoine Jamison?
Well, that is a huge question. Skip Victor.
His nickname
Great
is
concept. Great concept, but Antoine Jamison, a pretty terrific player, and the rest of these Tar Heels from North Carolina. However, Navy hanging around. They trail by 5. And there's a Carolina zone.
And smaller lineup now by North Carolina with Cota and Williams both in, and Brad Frederick. 6'5" junior, Lawrence, Kansas. Son of Bob Frederick, athletic director at the University of Kansas. So very interested in this ball game this afternoon as the Jayhawks get ready to play tomorrow.
5 turnovers for Navy. Here's Williams, let it go on the baseline. And he turns it over. 9 turnovers for North Carolina. Here, the conclusion of every NCAA tournament game will select the Chevrolet Most Valuable Player of the game. From each team, the Nate Chevrolet has contributed almost $6.5 million to the scholarship funds of America's colleges and universities. So this zone is really causing Navy some problems right now, John.
Well, they don't get allowed a lot of movement out of it. And North Carolina's tall enough so that all the passes are around the perimeter. And you settle for shots like that, and the ball is not going inside. Either by dribble you have to penetrate it or by pass. And right now, if you just throw it around the perimeter, the defense just gets to sit there and wait.
For Connecticut, the first round of the East Sub-Regional, 16th seeded Navy and the number 1 seeded Tar Heels from North Carolina, also the number 1 team in the nation. Led by Bill Guthridge in his first season at North Carolina, replacing the legendary Dean Smith. Here's Ed Cota from Brooklyn, let it go, came up short, rebounded inside by Victor.
And it's tough to put Jamison on the block with Cota on the wing because there's no room. Navy keeps sagging back inside. Take a look as tries to tiptoe his way along that line, and no go.
So Okulaja inbounds to Ed Cota. 9:20 to go in the first half, 21-16. UNC, pick and roll. James Williamson, to the basket, leaned in and hit it.
Again, better off the dribble than people give him credit for.
Known as a shooter, but he can get in deep. 23-16. Booker flashing across the lane, but off nicely by Njai.
And that's where the ball has to go, Gus, inside, right around the free throw line, because then you make that zone defense shrink a little bit. And you kick it out, it has to be quick passes against an active team like North Carolina.
And right now, the midshipmen a little frustrated. They turn it over for the 7th time.
Talked about Shammond Williams. Many think he can just shoot jump shots, but here's the penetration deep into the lane. He had an option to throw the alley-oop to Jamison. That one he took by himself.
Edge Coda, the floater, and it's picked up inside by Slatke. Maybe needs a bucket on offense here. They have really been stagnant the last few possessions. Booker go to the hole. Rebounded inside and put back in by Satapa Savani, the sophomore from Dakar, Senegal.
Tar Heels went back to a man-to-man that time. Navy getting much better shots against a man-to-man defense.
23-18, approaching the 8-minute mark of the first half. Naval Academy 19-10 on the season, 10-2 in the Patriot League. Elijah down low and a whistle. What a job Don DeVoe has done at the Naval Academy after coaching in places like Virginia Tech, Tennessee, Florida. Really has found a home in Annapolis, his team in the hunt. They trail 23-18.
Gumble along with Clark Kellogg back in our New York studios. We'll keep you advised of what's happening in Navy, North Carolina. You'll be able to see the score. But first of all, let's tell you what's happening elsewhere. We'll take you first to Washington, D.C., first-round game in the East. The Washington Huskies in purple against the white-clad Musketeers of Xavier. And in this game, it's tied at 20-20. Xavier is a team, Clark, you think can go far in this tournament.
Well, they've got excellent team speed. They've got a number of guys that can put up big points on a given day. But right now, even though they're forcing the Huskies into turnovers, Washington's shooting a high percentage when, in fact, they do break the press. They've made 9 of their first 14 shots.
Huskies haven't been in this tournament in a dozen years. That make a difference?
It does sometimes, Greg, but right now this team seems to be very comfortable with what they're trying to do. If they handle the ball a little better, they could give Xavier a lot of trouble.
You know, it's the first time for Washington in this tournament, but Bob Bender has been here before, the only guy to appear in the national championship game for 2 different schools, Indiana in 76 and Duke in 78.
That's kind of a unique resume, and here the Huskies are heading up court. Anytime a team is going to press you, you've got to be strong with the ball, and then you've got to try to attack the pressure for high-quality shots and scores.
So Washington and Xavier still tied at 20 apiece. This game early going, and again, first-round action in the East at the MCI Center in Washington, D.C. Now, in Boise, Idaho, at the BSU Pavilion, the Mountaineers of West Virginia in blue against the Temple Owls in white, the number 7 seed. Talk about veterans of the tournament. That's John Chaney and the Temple Owls.
Yeah, he's been there a lot of times with that tough matchup zone defense he plays. But right now, if this was a ping-pong game, it would be over. West Virginia up 9-zip. They're doing a nice job reversing the ball against the zone. And they, too, like Xavier, like to pressure you and force you into turnover.
You saw that stat there. Temple just 0 for 4. Look at how far into the first half we are. Just 4 shot attempts from the floor.
And again, that's the pressure. The experience of West Virginia, I think, is a factor. In addition to being snubbed last year from the NCAA tournament, they feel like they're on a mission and have something to prove, and they've got senior players that are hungry and capable.
You know, we always talk about the experience of teams. What about the experience of a coach like John Chaney?
Well, I tell you what, it makes a difference in terms of you don't have the quick turnarounds between games, especially the first and second round when you have to turn around if you advance, so I think that helps.
All right, so again, we will keep you advised of the progress of that game. Right now, we return you to the Hartford Civic Center. Gus Johnson and John Sunvol, where the Navy midshipmen taking on the Tar Heels of North Carolina.
6 minutes, 27 seconds remaining in the first half. Navy really hanging around with North Carolina. Tar Heels leading it by 6 as Vince Carter misses the free throw, rebounded by Jamison, and the foul sends Antoine Jamison to the line. The Hartford Civic Center, site of the first and second rounds of the East Sub-Regional. And North Carolina coming into this game, John, 30-3, 13-3 in the ACC. Their only losses coming to Maryland, NC State, and Duke, and they're really hitting on all cylinders as March Madness starts.
Well, they're a loose team, very confident. They came in, had a good practice yesterday. They don't have a lot of nerves, have a lot of fun playing.
Second free throw by Jamison is good, but it is waved off as Elijah stepped in the lane. So Carolina right now giving Navy all kinds of opportunities to keep this one close. And if you're Don DeVoe, John, that's all you can ask for.
Well, here's a team, North Carolina only averages 13 turnovers a ball game. They already have 11 against a soft Navy man-to-man defense. The difference right now, the built of lead because of rebound. North Carolina has 14 to 9 advantage.
Here's Williams inside, and he's stripped with foul on the way up. So Chris Williams heads to the free throw line.
And the penetration inside against the zone defense, they've only had a couple instances where they got the ball around the free throw line that makes that defense shrink a little bit. With the reach and the foul and to the foul line.
Chris Williams, a freshman from Savannah, Georgia, as Don DeVoe says, is the best natural athlete that he has coached in his 6 years at Navy. Williams was recruited by every SEC school for football. He was a sensational wide receiver but wanted to play basketball in college.
Had the big ball game in the semifinal game of the Patriot League Championships. Had 14 against Bucknell. 6 of 6 from the foul line that afternoon.
And he cuts the North Carolina lead to 5 points, 26-21. 5:57 to go in the first half. Akhtar Jai. Turnaround jump shot in traffic, and he got the bounce.
Carolina doing a better job, Gus, of clearing people away from the postman once he gets the basketball, so their bigger bodies can go to work against the smaller midshipmen.
Jai with 6 points. Savani tried to bank it in, rebounded by Williams. Bounce pass, Elijah to the basket, lost it, whistle and foul inside.
Well, Bill Guthridge can't believe there wasn't a foul when Elijah went to the board. The pass on the break, and Elijah thought himself was pushed sideways.
Vince Carter called for the foul as first, and it's the 4th team foul against the Tar Heels. 5 minutes, 27 seconds remaining in the first half. North Carolina leads by 7. It is their largest lead of the game. Here come the midshipmen. Here, penetrating, pulling up. Off the back rim, loose ball, Williams, fouled from behind and heads to the line.
Well, Carolina have all kinds of problems in their man-to-man defense. Every time they go to man-to-man, Navy gets a good shot and a good look at the basket. They get good offensive rebounding position. Carolina underestimating just a little bit, Gus, the fact that you still have to block bodies out.
So Josh Williams at the line, a junior from Northville, Michigan, and coming into this game and talking to some of the players and also Coach DeVoe, one thing they were very certain about was not being intimidated or afraid of playing the #1 team in the country.
I think that's easier to say than to do when you walk on the court. They were a loose group yesterday, as you mentioned before. I think once the tip comes and you watch the other team come out sometimes with All-Americans, it changes a little bit, but the coaching staff has a great game plan for this afternoon. Try to slow this thing and get Carolina more into a lull than anything.
Josh Williams, 59% free throw shooter. Second one is good. Kind of an awkward-looking release at the line, but effective on that play.
Navy showed a 2-2-1 3-quarter zone press. Quickly get back in, and they sag off Cota.
With Elijah to the hole, and a whistle and foul on the floor. Is that how you used to, is this how you used to shoot them when you were at Missouri there, Jeff?
Well, at 59%, you're just kind of hoping that baby goes in right there, Gus. Had that Don Nelson finish on there. Remember when Nelly used to line her up for the Celtics?
Old enough to remember. 5:01 to go in the first half. 28-22. Elijah's first free throw is off the mark, and North Carolina from the free throw line. 6 of 10 this afternoon. They come into the game on the season shooting 71%.
You know, Gus, when you play against a soft man-to-man, one of the things you want to do is set screens lower. I mean, if Coda's guy is going to play at about 7 feet, go down and put a good screen on him. Then Coda can come around off a screen or something. He shoot 9-foot jump shot. You want to pound the defense more to the baseline.
He missed a pair on the floor. Mike Geary, Lookaville, Hassan Booker, Williams, and Williams for Navy in the dark uniform. Geary popping out. Important 4 minutes and 38 seconds for the midshipmen.
Yeah, Carolina switches a lot of things defensively to man-to-man defense because of same-size bodies. Here's the first break we've had.
And Williams fouled hard by Geary on the baseline. Mike Geary really decking Shaman Williams, who had an easy basket, and he will make Shaman earn it from the stripe.
Well, as most people talk about, Carolina not a deep team. Play 6 or 7 bodies. You don't want to see a guy get hurt, but a good hard foul by Geary didn't allow the easy layup. It looked like Williams almost slowed down for Geary to catch up.
So Shaman Williams, MVP of the ACC tournament a year ago, and also MVP of the East Region. Got the first one to go, averages 18 points on the season. And into the game, Brendan Haywood, a freshman from Dudley, North Carolina. Akamola Okalaja takes the seat.
Gus, watch this stroke. This is how you shoot a basketball. I'm not sure that net even moved.
30-22, 4:22 to go in the first half. Carolina leading Navy. Don Booker, good first half for him. He has 8 points. Lookaville around the screen, leans in, tried to bank it, tip, and Josh Williams couldn't get it to go. Coda the other way, feeding the post to Carter. And a turnover here. With Williams to the basket, off the glass, won't go, but the follow is good by Chris Williams, the freshman from Savannah.
Well, simply out-hustling everybody. Williams was trailing the play. Carolina didn't run back, and the follow-up. How many times you see a missed layup? He who hustles the most usually gets rewarded.
Shaman from downtown, bad shot picked up by Josh Williams, and a foul reaching in against Vince Carter. And listen to this crowd. They're trying to get into it. And North Carolina allowing Navy to hang around.
Well, silly mistakes. Turnover number 12. And as Harry goes to the rack, take a look where Williams comes from. He's at half court. He beats everybody to the ball.
3:34 to go. We've got a 6-point game.
Where's your father? You don't want to know. Here he comes.
Whoa! Whoa!
Watch out, Dad! Yeah. There he comes.
Hey, it's Chevy Venture with a remote control door. Pretty convenient, huh?
Oh, Dad.
What?
Chevy Venture.
Let's go. Good idea.
Don't worry. I won't be long.
Oh, okay.
Hey, buddy. Over here, in petites.
Whoa. Have a Bud Light. This is awesome.
Yeah, we love shopping.
With a great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light.
There's a new breed of projection TV in town. Presenting RCA Digital Focus. For our clearest, sharpest, brightest picture yet. Save up to $100 during March Madness on RCA. Just in time for the big party.
I got a special treat for you.
Thank you, Mommy.
You're welcome. Now, don't be late, honey.
Good news. Reese's Nutrageous bars are now 20% bigger.
I like being in control. With this Dinerex, I control the cause of my dandruff every day.
Dinerex Advanced Formulas medicine doesn't just treat the symptoms. It controls a leading cause of dandruff called P.O. Valley.
Now that's serious control.
Dinerex Advanced Formula. A renegade accused of kidnapping a settler.
This situation is likely to get out of hand.
Now only the Magnificent Seven.
North Carolina only averages 13 a game. Look at the shot attempts. 30 attempts for Navy. They're quicker to the basketball a little bit, and Carolina looks a little frustrated. Just a little bit. They want this game a little more up-tempo, and Don Bowe is happy. What you want to do as a big underdog, play this game in 5-minute segments, try to be close every 5 minutes and hang in there, and hopefully the higher seed team gets a little frustrated towards the end of the ball game. We're nearing the first half. They're only down 6, and so far they're playing outstanding.
Here's Lookaville. Chris Williams pops out. 13 on the shot clock for the midshipmen. Heary, pull-up jump shot, got it.
And Heary playing to the crowd. He hits a jump shot. He continues to do the things he needs to do, and only down 4.
Akhtar Jai the other way, looks backside. Elijah forced to take a 3. It's short. Jai with the rebound and a new shot clock for the Tar Heels.
And it's hard to make jump shots when it's a second thought. Elijah turned around. He didn't have anything and waited. Then finally he made it. That's what Carolina has been trying to do. Just hard to get it inside to Jamison.
Jamison with 9, and when you need an easy bucket, you go to the franchise. 32-26, 2:26 remaining in the first half. Navy really patient on offense, working for a good shot. Lookaville from the parking lot. And the ball knocked out of bounds, and it's last touched by the Tar. Actually by Navy.
Hey, look at Antoine Jamison. He continues to move without the ball always. He's tough to defend. He's big. He's strong. He's active. Finally, they got an offensive rebound. He got on a low block. Good bounce pass away from the defense, and easy, too.
He checks out of the game. On the floor for the Tar Heels, Cota and Williams in the backcourt. Vince Carter, Okalaja, and Jai in the front court. 32-26, approaching the 2-minute mark of the first half. Williams, high-low, finds Jai. Missed the jam. Picked up by Cota in the corner. Here's Carter, power dribble, and the two-hand stuff. Oh, my. So Vince Carter makes it a 34-26 game. Heary leaning in, double clutched, and it rattled out. Cota the other way. Carolina sensing a run. Williams reverse layup, and it doesn't go.
Good bounce pass by Cota. Williams a little nonchalant on that finish.
Josh Williams, give and go. Lookaville. Great play, textbook style for the Naval Academy.
Never want to allow a team, Gus, to get confidence on their face in this Navy ball club. You look at them, and they feel like they can play on the offensive end. They're struggling on the defensive rebounding part of this ball game.
1 minute to go, 36-28. Ed Cota with his 5th point of the first half. And Navy, a whistle up top called against Vince Carter of North Carolina. Now coming up on Pennzoil at the half, Greg Gumbel, Clark Kellogg, and Dean Smith will get you updated on all tournament news, all the scores, highlights, plus a live look at all the action going on in the NCAA tournament. It's all coming up on Pennzoil at the half. Vince Carter picks up his 3rd foul and sits down. With 53.8 seconds to go, he has 8 points. And at the line for Navy is Mike Heary, a terrific free throw shooter. As I said, and he missed the first one, over 84% on the season.
Happens every time, Gus.
Cota wrapped it around Jai, lays it up and in.
That's what Ed Cota does. Best of all, penetrates, gives up the pass. 5th in the country in assists. And it's 7.5 a ball game.
And the largest lead of the game for North Carolina, 38-28. 36.8 remaining in the first half of play. And here at Hartford, We have a really competitive bracket. North Carolina Navy, followed by UNC Charlotte out of Conference USA, and Illinois Chicago from the MCC, Princeton UNLV, Michigan State against Eastern Michigan, and if you haven't seen Earl the Squirrel Boykins, 5'5", the diminutive point guard out of Eastern Michigan, you would want to hang around when the Eagles come up tonight.
Well, we have some great games here, Gus. The Team Cleves will have something to say about Mr. Boykins having a good game tonight. And Princeton UNLV, what a matchup. UNLV comes in as hot as any ball club in the country, winning 4 games in the WAC to get here, upsetting Utah, Fresno, and New Mexico.
About a 7-second differential between the game clock and the shot clock.
And see if North Carolina attack the ball when it gets to an area they can. A lot of times they want to dictate what the other team does.
8 to shoot. Chris Williams lost his footing. Lookabill jabbed up, got to the hole, leaned inside, can't make it in. Frederick with the board. Ahead to Cota. Carolina's Cota lost it on his hip, picked it up. And that is the end of the first half of play. 38-28, our score after one half. Now let's go to New York, where Greg Gumbel is standing by.
All right, Gus, so it's a 10-point lead for North Carolina in Hartford. We want to take you now to Washington, D.C. for the other first-round game in the East that's taking place. The Washington Huskies and Xavier's Musketeers. Washington in the lead by 2. Let's join Sean McDonough and Bill Raftery.
A minute 40 remaining in the first half here in Washington, D.C. Washington in purple, the 11 seed, has a 2-point lead over Xavier, the number 6 seed. It's been a very tight game. And the ball thrown away by Braggs of the Musketeers. Now Donald Watts for Washington lays it in.
They're giving a little scratching of the road on the defensive end. It's turning into good opportunity baskets for the Huskies.
5 points for Donald Watts. Xavier favors an up-tempo approach, but they really haven't been able to get it going up and down.
Well, you got to make shots. I mean, get your defense set. They've just been able. And this is a situation, that ball, they can get after it.
For Xavier, number 3. Lumpkin's 3 went out of bounds, so Washington will play it in again. And a 20-second timeout has been called to give us time to check the brackets. Here in the East in Washington, D.C. Later this afternoon, South Carolina against Richmond. The Spiders back in the tournament with their history of upsets in the NCAA. Then Indiana and Oklahoma tonight, followed by Connecticut and Fairleigh Dickinson University.
Skip's team right now, and not that he's distraught, but they're not getting that energy from the press. They not making shots, part of that difficulty. Also, I think rushing shots and not getting the sequence set up where they do get a touchdown on the box. I think they're a great inside team. I think Posey running in there could do some damage.
Well, you made the point, tough to press when you don't make a shot, and as we saw a moment ago, they've gone 5.5 minutes without a field goal. Down to 1 minute left in the half. Dickow to Watts with Green, Femmerling, and Luton on the floor for Washington. Dickow short with a 3. He's made a couple off the bench. Halo Green.
There's that hook. Braggs had a great hook shot before your time, I might add. And line. Hoobie. Washington great. Sitting back home enjoying that one. They just honored him during that UCLA game, incidentally.
We're glad to hear that at age 80, former Washington coach Marv Harshman is still around the program, makes it to the home games, and follows the Huskies very closely.
One thing saying against UCLA, he's the last guy to beat John Smith.
He was in 1975. Luton ahead of the pack, missed the layup. Great hustle by Watts, taking nothing for granted.
Good hustle. And the Watts are up. He plays well. He's a different team. Good perimeter game to complement the inside people. No goal.
Williams missed the desperation 3 at the buzzer. Slick Watts loves what he is seeing from son Donald and the Huskies here in the first half. At the end of the first half, the score is Washington 38 and Xavier 30. Greg Gumbel, Clark Kellogg, and Dean Smith will be along with Pennzoil at the half. Right after this message and a word from your local station.
This is the BMW 3.
West Virginia and Temple. It is a 30-14 lead for the Mountaineers. Jim Durham and Greg Kelser are standing by with the action at the BSU Pavilion.
Kelser here in Boise. A mild upset in the making in game one. The 10th seeded West Virginia Mountaineers with the ball and a 16-point lead as Owens fires. And Temple now trying to cut into that big lead. They would like to get it down, I'm sure, inside of double digits before the half.
That last shot taken by Owens, he's not a great outside shooter, but he's a slasher, a guy that likes to get the ball to the basket. He can hit the outside shot, but that's not his strength. But right now, I think that West Virginia, they're getting very good shots. They got the ball reversal going, and they are dictating what they get offensively and not being dictated to by Temple's defense.
Kearse called for that foul. First foul on him. And a non-shooting foul. 15 foul on West Virginia. Greer will make the inbounds pass for Temple with a new 35 seconds to shoot. All the way into the backcourt to Brokenborough. West Virginia in the zone this time off the inbounds pass.
Boy, West Virginia does a great job of recovering.
And that was Sanchez, and it counts.
All right, so West Virginia with a 30-14 lead on Temple, under 3 minutes to play in the first half. Meanwhile, halftime is at Hartford, Connecticut, and the North Carolina Tar Heels with a 10-point lead on Navy. Second half action coming up right after this.
Pennzoil at the Half has been sponsored by Pennzoil, specially formulated for today's stop-and-go driving. Stop, go, Pennzoil.
But North Carolina's inside game just too much for them.
Yeah, too much power, but Navy did a nice job of limiting the shot attempts by North Carolina. And then the Tar Heels had a few too many turnovers. They're still ahead by 10 points, though.
And the statistics from the first half of play, Navy shooting 31%. North Carolina, John, up there 50%.
It's the best shooting team in the country, and you've limited them to only 28 shots, so it's working for Navy.
Moments ago, Armin Katayan spoke with Navy coach Don DeVoe.
Don, impressive first half. What did you tell your team at halftime?
We can win this basketball game if we knock down those perimeter shots, keep taking the ball to Carolina, and by all means, we have to block out every time. They scored 22 points in the paint. If we can keep them from getting that second shot, we'll be in this basketball game right up until the end.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Good point that coach made, because the fact that Don DeVoe said, hey, the fact is we're not blocking out 7 offensive rebounds, and Carolina's inside guys are scoring, Gus. It's a fact that the pace is for Navy. They didn't shoot the ball well, 31%. We'll see if they can knock some in the second half. I would expect the Tar Heels to put a little more pressure defensively on this Navy squad.
Hassan Booker, Josh Williams, Keary, Slatke, and Victor on the court for the Naval Academy. Victor, baseline jump shot. And it's rebounded by Antoine Jameson.
And if you're going to win, you can't miss those. If you have a 5-foot, 6-foot jump shot, you have to hit them all.
Victor only 1 of 3 in the first half. With Elijah. Bounce pass inside. Jai. Turnaround jump shot, and it's good. So Maktar Jai, a good game for him so far. He has 10 points.
When Carolina catches it inside, you almost just count it, because they've scored every time inside.
And the clock is not running. The officials have not paid attention to that. 19:24, it's stuck on. And we finally get a whistle.
And they're trying to fix the scores table. They're working at the scores table. Officials now know that the clock has not been moving, and in a close game, that might be a problem. Now they're going to move it. They'll have to figure out how much time went off since the opening tap.
The officials, Tom Harrington is the referee, along with Eric Harmon and George Evans. Let's check in with Armin Katayan.
They're going to move this clock, as you can just see, down to 18:59. So they took a few seconds off of it. They're still here at the scorer's table. And it looks like they're just going to peel a few more off here before they stop this thing.
So 18:59 remaining on the clock. North Carolina leads Navy 40-28. Inside Okalaja, and he is hammered by Mike Heary. So a good look from Antoine Jameson to Okalaja, and now that inside game really starting to.
And a good screen from Shammond Williams. Put a screen up high, the ball underneath out of bounds, and Navy caught sleeping. You have to either switch the screens down low if they're going to play man-to-man.
Opening moments of the second half of play, North Carolina leads Navy 40-28. Ademola Okalaja misses a pair of free throws. He has really struggled from the line this afternoon, but Navy's allowing North Carolina to really dominate inside now. Williams got it to go, and the foul.
And one of the first inside buckets we've seen by Navy in a while in the half-court set. They threw it inside, and big Josh Williams move some bodies around. Look at the low post position. Again, Carolina a little slow to the spot. Williams goes up strong enough, and he'll go back to the foul line, see if he can make a three-point play the traditional way.
So the junior from Northville, Michigan, who averages 6 points per game, gets the free throw to fall, and he has 4. 40-31.
You're still ahead by 9, Gus, and you don't want to force the issue. You're playing well. Navy's playing fine. But Carolina has to somehow increase this pace to get Navy playing a different kind of ballgame.
Here's Jameson floating inside, rattled out, snatched down by Booker. Heary into the front court, cross court. Victor all alone. And he's got to hit open shots for Navy to stay in this game.
Well, Don DeVoe said we would not be afraid to run if we have opportunity.
Okalaja, wild shot on the baseline, knocked out of bounds. And it's knocked out of bounds by the midshipmen. A very competitive bracket here in Hartford, Connecticut. The first and second rounds of the East Sub-Regional. This game followed by UNC Charlotte, Illinois Chicago, Princeton and UNLV, a 5 versus 12 game, and Michigan State against Eastern Michigan. 2 great guards going at it. Mateen Cleave from Michigan State and Earl the Squirrel Boykins from Eastern Michigan.
A great matchup next ball game. Illinois Chicago with Miller and Coombs at the guard spot. You have DeMarco Johnson for Charlotte with Sean Colson out front. Outstanding combination. University of North Carolina Charlotte would love a chance to play these Tar Heels.
There's no question about it. Carolina turns it over for the 13th time. 40-31. And a turnover as Slacky couldn't hang on inside. 17:42 to go in the second half. North Carolina leading the Naval Academy by 9 points, 40-31. And North Carolina, John, they've really established themselves on the inside, and 22 points in the paint in the first half, and they continue to do it here in the second half.
Yeah, they do. They keep looking for that low post position. Navy's playing that soft man-to-man. They'll stay away from everybody but Jameson and Williams. They'll allow Okalaja to shoot outside jump shots. The problem they had the first half is North Carolina had offensive rebounds.
Okalaja 0 for 5 from the field, and he's 0 for 4 from the free throw line. Lookaville. Rebounded by Vince Carter.
Well, 1 and out. And that's what's going to happen for Navy. They're not an offensive rebounding team against Carolina.
And Shammond Williams, though, offensive-minded, backs up and knocks down the 3. He has 11.
I think he might be the hardest one to match up against for this Navy team because of his quickness off the dribble and his ability to raise up and knock in jump shots.
Lookaville, straightaway 3. Got a great look and punched it down.
They keep getting open shots. And if they keep getting them, if they can make a few, well, what a pass.
That's a high percentage open shot for Vince Carter from Ed Cota. 10 points for Carter. 45-34, North Carolina. And look at the points in the paint, 24-10, the Tar Heels. Taking advantage of all that great size.
Well, you understand that Navy won't get many points in the paint. There's a good pass and cut. And Booker has had a terrific afternoon.
He has 10, 45-36, and the pace starting to get a little bit better offensively for both teams.
Yeah, I think so. And Navy has to be careful. As long as they get those open shots, the key is you have to make them.
Navy in the zone now. Traditionally a man-to-man team. Elijah, and he finally got one to go. 1 for 6 from the field. Heary the other way, and he answers.
You know, it's as if Carolina's not really focusing on the defensive end. They're not guarding anybody. They're just kind of laying back softly. Navy playing a box and one, and
Jai, 14-footer. Picked up inside by Hassan Booker.
Boy, Booker strong inside at only 6'2". Likes to control the paint area, 230 pounds.
10-point lead for Carolina. Josh Williams back to the basket, drop step, let it go. Rebounded by Booker, and a new shot clock for Navy. Booker, let it go. Here come the Tar Heels. Williams on the break. Nice play off the glass and in.
Yeah, the ability again, we'll mention it off the dribble. Carolina has not had many chances to get out on the break. Kind of been lulled into a pace, but again, they've lulled themselves into a 12-point lead, and that's fine.
13 points for Shamond Williams, 50-38. Largest lead of the game for the Tar Heels, and Navy turns it over. Inside, Jai, jump hook, he's fouled.
We talked about Ed Coda's ability to see the floor. 5th in the nation in assists. Eyes up, head up, right on the money.
Navy foul number 21. Eddie averaging 7 assists per game. Sophomore from Brooklyn, New York. Played for Rock Eisenberg in high school, and Eddie just a fine addition in the mold of Phil Ford, who was a pretty good point guard for North Carolina.
Yeah, player of the year back in 1978, and Phil Ford would be a great teacher for any point guard. Went in the NBA, was NBA Rookie of the Year, and those will remember his days at Kansas City Kings. He teamed with Otis Birdsong, former Houston Cougar great, and those two were just fun to watch. Phil Ford making the passes and Otis shooting his sweet jumper from outside.
Jai adds a free throw, 14-16 to go, 51-38 UNC. Tar Heels leading at 51-38, 14-16 to go in the second half of play. A 1 versus 16 game. North Carolina, the #1 seed. Navy, seeded number 16. And the Tar Heels with their biggest lead of the game, led by 10 at halftime. And Navy right now, John, they need Skip Victor to start putting some balls in the basket. He's 1 of 5 from the field.
Well, Victor now out of the lineup, but Carolina stays in the zone. I'm sorry, he is out top. They get open shots against the zone, they have to convert, and the slower this game they make is hard now because you're down 13. They'll have to speed up their shots on the offensive end. Carolina is content just to stay in this kind of pace and slowly build a lead and win a ball game. And the old adage is too, Gus, they don't want to show their next opponent everything.
2 on the shot clock, and the jump shot rattling in and out, rebounded by Jai. Tar Heels on the run. Here's Williams spotting up to the basket. Pull up jump shot off the side of the rim, and it's picked up inside. Knocked out of bounds, rather. We stay right here.
The active offensive board, Jamison, causing problems. He moved so well without the ball. When the shot went up, went low baseline. Navy had a hard time keeping Antoine away from the ball. Big smile on his face.
Antoine Jamison, who many feel will be the player of the year, consensus player of the year in every publication. Stolen away, though. Look a bill to Slatke. 14 turnovers for Carolina. They only averaged 13. So sloppy with the ball today for them. Navy working for good shots. Very patient. 10 on the shot clock. And the ball knocked away by Jai. 13:01 to go in the second half. North Carolina leading Navy 51-38. They've dominated this game by going inside, but there outside is Lookaville, and he drains a three. He has 8.
He shoots a toe-raised jump shot, meaning he doesn't have to jump to shoot it. So he has unlimited range. They're 4 of 9 from three-point land, and those shots get you back in this game quickly.
Senior from Chattanooga, Tennessee. Father played football at North Carolina, was a defensive end. Matter of fact, he was roommates with John Swapper, the commissioner of the ACC.
And Lookaville's assignment is to guard Ed Cota. And as we mentioned in the first half, he just sags off and kind of sits in the offensive player's lap. He plays defense. He doesn't guard Cota at all.
Ball knocked out of bounds, and it's last touched by the Tar Heels. 12:33 to go in the second half. 10-point game. The largest lead for North Carolina has been 13 points. They led by 10 at halftime.
Well, against his own look for Lookaville. He's hit a couple now, Gus, and the last one was beyond the NBA three-point line. He will move off some screens on the baseline.
Victor forcing one up. Rebounded by Jamison. Here come the Tar Heels on the run. Cota in transition. Williams beating the post. Turnaround jump shot. Jamison wipes out on the baseline. And a whistle and foul.
And I thought Lookaville had all ball on that one. The offensive rebound by Jai inside. Jamison had a hard time converting once he caught it on the post. The quick turn, the miss, and Jai gets the rebound. Take a look, Lookaville. Pretty clean.
Number 53, Ryan Lookaville picking up his third foul. And quietly, Maktar Jai, the transfer from Michigan, from Dakar, Senegal, has been having a very nice game. 11 points for him, 8 in the first half, and he adds to those totals. Maktar speaks 4 languages, also has 7 rebounds. And he's very familiar, John, with Satafa Savani, his countryman, also from Dakar. They both tried out for the national team in Senegal. Maktar made the team, and Satafa unfortunately didn't, but they did play against each other.
Well, Savani only a sophomore, Jai a senior. Savani's going to get to be a better player in the next couple years.
They're guarding each other right now, the two from Senegal. Savani pump fake, got it away, rejected though by Jai. Here comes Ed Cota. Picking up his dribble, finds Williams. Got to the basket, jumped inside, and a pretty kiss off the glass.
Well, Shaman has been the most active of the Tar Heels all afternoon. I was going to make a comment. Navy's done a nice job getting back defensively, so North Carolina hasn't had a lot of easy looks. But Shaman Williams with the dribble has been more active than any of his teammates.
He has 15. Savani inside again, and this one going off of his foot.
Take a look. The pump fake staying on the floor and waiting till the offensive player commits. And Williams again with the dribble goes to the hole with the nice layup.
11:25 to go. It's all Carolina, 54-41.
It's time to discover cars and trucks you may not have thought about before. The 1998 Oldsmobiles at Discover Days. Consider the Silhouette with features like a power sliding passenger door. It's the minivan that meets everyone's needs. Or the Bravada. Its exclusive Smart Track system automatically adjusts to changing road conditions. Right now, they're both available for a limited time with 1.9 financing. Discover Days with incredible 1.9 financing on all Oldsmobiles at your local.
11:25 to go in the second half. Carolina by 13. And, John, this has really been a slowdown game. Neither team able to run at all.
Well, Don DeVoe has done what they wanted to do. Take a look. 0 points both ways. There was only one opportunity in the first half, North Carolina for a layup, but there was a foul at the end of that play. Michael Heary wiped out Williams. So Don DeVoe has done what they've really had to do to come in to win this ballgame. They haven't, though, made the shots when they've been open, guys.
Shammond Williams, though, has been making shots. He's got 15. Hangs in the air on the baseline. Rebounded by Okalaja, and a new shot clock. Carter the other way. And Jamison is fouled inside. And Jamison really unhappy about getting bumped around out there.
Skip Victor.
All these little guys around. You guys, give me a break.
Skip Victor is now having a few words with the rest of the Carolina fellas. And the man they call Master Lock that time was locked up on Shammond Williams. Did a nice job defensively. But I don't think you probably want to start talking some smack to some of these Carolina players.
Coach Guthridge, 30 years as an assistant for Dean Smith. He's 60 years old. And in his first year, ACC Coach of the Year, Sporting News Coach of the Year.
You know, he spent 5 years at Kansas State prior to going to North Carolina under the great coach Tex Winter, who Tex Winter is on the Chicago Bulls staff. Tex Winter designed the triple post offense at Kansas State and used by the Chicago Bulls. It obviously helps when you have a guy like Michael Jordan running that triple post.
And Coach Guthridge, I asked him if he talked to Coach Smith before the game to get some words of encouragement or some advice. He said, no, I gave Dean some advice about the tournament. And I said, well, what was the advice, Coach? He said, well, I told Dean to talk fast in the studio. And you'll be okay. So a whistle and foul again against the Naval Academy.
Well, in a solid year. You mentioned 30-3. The 30 wins. The most by a first-year coach ever is 33 by Bill Hodges. Indiana State went all the way to that final against Michigan State. Larry Bird versus Magic. So if North Carolina can get on a run, he might set himself a record.
And I thought one of the great quotes from Coach Guthridge, he said when he was an assistant, he made suggestions. Now, as the head coach, he makes decisions.
How true, how true.
Had opportunities to leave in 1978, the most memorable when he had the Penn State job, sent his bags as far as Chicago and said, when I get to Chicago, I'll decide whether or not I want to take the Penn State job. And that was Phil Ford's senior year. He got to Chicago, and he thought about Phil Ford crying in the locker room, knowing that his final game at North Carolina was over. There's Phil. And so when he got to Chicago, he had that memory in his mind. He called Coach Smith on the phone and said, Coach, I'll be back to practice on Monday.
Well, what loyalty to Dean Smith and the Carolina program. And Coach Smith rewarded Coach Guthridge by handing the baton off, so to speak. Carolina now in a trapping defense, just trying to increase the energy a little bit.
10:36 to go in the second half, 56-41. And the foul called on Vince Carter, his fourth.
Vince Carter, his fourth personal foul, second on team.
Don't forget, coming up after this game, it's Illinois-Chicago and UNC Charlotte. The winner to play this team, the winner of this game, rather, North Carolina, with a comfortable lead right now, their largest of the game. Lookabill from the corner, off the heel of the rim, rebounded by Booker, 15-footer, and he can't get it to drop. Rebounded by Jamison.
Well, Lookabill keeps looking for his shot, Gus, at any range. Just can't quite convert most of them.
Ball knocked out of bounds. Stay right here. Once again, the bracket. UNC Charlotte, Illinois Chicago, Princeton, UNLV this evening, followed by Michigan State and Eastern Michigan. And it would probably be the basketball holy war, UNC Charlotte against North Carolina. They have been trying to make a game with each other for a long period of time. Inside, here's Cota, lays it in with the left hand.
Well, I think the fans in Charlotte would think that is a holy war. The folks in Chapel Hill probably wouldn't think much of it, to be honest.
Peary, shot off the mark, rebounded by Jamison.
Again, Navy does a nice job getting back defensively, but you better match up with that guy.
From the midshipman with numbers. Peary, jump stop inside, rising fire, and it's good. So Michael Heary makes it a 58-43 game. He has 9 points. Inside, Jamison catch, and he banks it in.
Good lead
pass, good target. Jamison finds his position early on the offensive end, and Navy can't do too much about that.
Booker. Guy with the rebound. Speaking of that UNC Charlotte possible matchup with North Carolina, at UNC Charlotte, they referred to the Tar Heels program or to the University of North Carolina as Chapel Hill College. So that tells you how they feel about it.
Be a few fighting words there. I think Mark Miller and Anthony Coombs will have maybe something to say about that next ball game.
And the points in the paint, North Carolina 34-12.
Well, the size, the quickness, and the ability down low, and Antoine Jamison, who we've talked about, may be the player of the year and probably will be by most publications. The good catch, the low position, the quickness to go right back up, and another good pass inside, and the finish by Mr. Jamison.
And a lot has been made about whether or not Antoine will stay in college. He said his parents worked for 21 years for him to go to college and get his education. He's on schedule to graduate in 4 years, and he said he does not want to disappoint him. And he also really likes the way Tim Duncan and Keith Van Horn carried themselves by staying in school for 4 years. Now they're sensational in the NBA.
And what becomes hard, Gus, is the outside influences, the agents and those people that start attacking these kids. He should stay. You can buy insurance policies now. You can do a lot of things that the NCAA allows you to do. And I don't know if you asked all the guys that left early, I'd like to see a poll that how many wish they might have stayed that extra year. Van Horn, Duncan, great examples of how they've turned out as people, and they had a great college careers and now are great pro players.
North Carolina have outscored Navy 11-2 in the last 3 minutes and 30 seconds. 62-43. Okalaja, who struggled with his shot today, misses another one. He is 1 of 7 from the field. Also, though, surprisingly, 0 for 4 from the free throw line as well. Booker trying to take Jamison off the dribble, got it away inside. And Antoine with the rebound, number 11 for him. For North Carolina, Eddie Cota, and he rattles a 3 down. And Cota's not known for his perimeter play. A good-looking stroke there.
Well, he's only made 8 all year, but he's hit 2 this afternoon. They've given him the shot. He's taken. He's 2 for 3 from beyond the three-point line.
7 minutes, 38 seconds to go in the second half, and it's North Carolina big over Navy.
Gus, back to you.
All right, Armin, it's been a great year for the Naval Academy. They beat Army in football for the first time in 5 years. They swept Army in basketball 3 straight, and they advanced to the NCAA tournament by beating Lafayette in their conference tournament.
Well, it's tough to win when you're supposed to win. They were picked to win this year, and they're back again. Last year in the NCAA, lost to Utah in the first round. The Patriot League, Colgate was always a good team when Donald Foyle was there, and the late Jack Bruin, who was passed away in December, the legendary coach that everybody who met him was a friend.
Antoine Jamison with 15 points, 11 rebounds. For North Carolina, Navy won their last 11. Here's Peary. Freed himself in front of the rim. And another rebound by Antoine. And the tournament summary. Navy, their second straight NCAA tournament, 3rd in the last 5 years. 11th overall appearance. North Carolina, look at those numbers. 24 straight tournaments. 2nd straight ACC tournament championship. And Don DeVoe, what a terrific job he's done for Navy. They've gotten better in conference records every year for the past 5 years. He's only been there 6 years.
Well, always been known as a great coach, great teacher of the man-to-man defense. Always had some patient offenses at different times. I remember back in Tennessee when he had Dale Ellis scoring a lot of points, mainly inside, and then he went in the NBA, started shooting them outside. But Don DeVoe played at Ohio State on a runner-up championship team, played with Jerry Lucas and John Havlicek, so understands the game and has done a nice job. And this squad was loose yesterday. We said at halftime, you know, they've done the things they've they want to do. They just haven't made the shots they had to make this afternoon.
Also played on that 1960 national championship team with Lucas Havlicek and a guy named Bobby Knight.
Checking back in for Navy,
Take a look at the field goal percentage. We mentioned the second half. It has to get better, and it hasn't. Only 25%. You mentioned Bobby Knight. They have a tough draw tonight when they play the Oklahoma Sooners.
Loose ball knocked out of bounds, and North Carolina receives it again. And you like Oklahoma.
Well, they're tough. Kelvin Sampson, a tough coach, fundamentally sound. They play good defense. Almost a mirror image of Indiana. Indiana might have a little more offensive ability, but Corey Brewer averages about 23 a game for Oklahoma.
Jamison got the rebound and stuck it back in.
You know, it's pretty tough with Jamison, the fact that you can block him out, Gus, but if he goes over the top, he's just a better athlete.
He has 17 points. 69-43, 6 minutes to go. Navy trailed by 10 points at halftime. Williams hopping inside, rims out, and a foul in the paint.
Antoine Jamison always moving, trying to get position. He goes underneath, goes away from the ball. Then once he gets it, boy, look how quickly he turns around and puts it on the rim and keeps going at it. Oh, that is outstanding. 17 points, 14 rebounds, and it seems like it's been an easy afternoon for him.
Brendan Haywood checks into the game, and Antoine takes a seat, trying to become the first man since Billy Cunningham in 1965 to average 20 points and 10 rebounds. And Billy did it 3 times, Coach Smith.
Well, they called him the Kangaroo Kid because of his jumping ability, but Billy could shoot it from outside, take it to the hole. Was a great coach in the NBA also.
And what a great smile, Antoine Jamison, who could be done for the day with 5:53 to go. Jai at the free throw line, the second one off the front of the rim, but he has 13 points. 70-43.
Carolina has been in this position before, Gus, and the fact that they're used to playing first-round games and positioning themselves, getting used to tournament action. They've been to the Sweet 16 15 of the last 17 years. Amazing.
Hayward on the baseline spinning, and it's rebounded by Josh Williams. Here's Chris Williams into the front court. To Seth Shutnick, and Terrell Hickman also on the floor, a senior from Inglewood, California. Stripped away, picked up by Jai. Here come the Tar Heels. Carter, Dakota, and an easy bucket for North Carolina.
Nice unselfish play by Carter. Hasn't scored many points and could have taken it himself, but gave it up to a teammate.
72-46. Ed Cota with 12. Elijah into the front court. Here's Carter, and exclamation point. North Carolina breezing in their first round matchup with Navy. It was close at halftime, 10 points, but now they've opened the doors.
Well, Elijah got whacked a little bit on this ball goes up. This is the break earlier as Carter takes it himself and gives it up to a teammate. Traditional Carolina basketball.
4:40 to go. North Carolina running and dunking.
Who are you? I was hired by your roommate.
Well, out of my way, I want a Bud Light.
I don't think so.
This is ridiculous. I live here.
Sorry. You ain't on the list.
List? Is there a problem, Bruno?
Nothing I can't handle.
That's what I like to hear.
For the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light.
Now am I on your list?
Let's see. Nope.
You went out for milk 3 days ago. Come home now.
It's just more fun to drive. The all-new Accord from Honda.
And welcome back to the Hartford Civic Center. The game summary: North Carolina, a team-high 53 rebounds and a 42-12 advantage, points in the paint. Antoine Jameson, 17 points and 14 rebounds.
Well, I think Bill Gruthridge at halftime talked about the ball handling, Gus, because Carolina had 12 turnovers the first half, only 2 the second half. They've taken care of the basketball. That's allowed them to get more shots, and this is the best field goal shooting team in the country.
Inside, Terrell Hickman got his own rebound, forced it up again, and it's rebounded inside by Haywood. Substitutions on the floor for the Tar Heels. Terrence Newby, Ryan Bursticker, and Newby nailing one.
Good way to start when you get in the ball game. NCAA tournament play.
Also Brad Frederick on the floor for the Tar Heels. Shooting it. Rims out. And another board for Haywood. Almost a steal on the sideline. 3:58 to go. 77-46. North Carolina leading it in the second half. Now let's check out the CBS Sports Line stat of the game, and it's points in the paint. Those big fellas down low, Jameson, Jai, Okalaja, Vince Carter really making their presence felt inside.
Yeah, not only big and strong, but quick. Hard to stay with, hard to block out. Carolina guards did a nice job getting the ball inside a little better the second half. First half, again, the turnover problem.
For North Carolina, number 11, Michael.
Here's Michael Brooker also in the game for the Tar Heels. Substitute, getting an opportunity to play in the NCAA tournament. And that's what it's about. John saying, hey, I stepped on the floor, got a couple of minutes in March Madness.
Yeah, no kidding. And think of some of the Navy players. Jameson, obviously, and Carter are going to be stars in the NBA. Someday they'll look back and say, we matched up with them for a while.
North Carolina foul double 0, Brendan Haywood.
So in the game now for the midshipman, Reggie Skipworth, number 5, in at point guard. Here's Hickman around the screen. Let it go. Came up short. Newby with the rebound. For North Carolina, a possible date with UNC Charlotte or Illinois Chicago in the next round. Illinois Chicago, some big wins for them this season. They beat Michigan State, and at the same time, they played Illinois to a 1-point game. Here's the other part of the East in Washington, D.C., South Carolina, Richmond, Indiana, Oklahoma, and Connecticut, and Fairleigh Dickinson University.
A lot of people think UConn has a chance, Gus. The quickness. Richard Hamilton, Khalid Alameen.
Xavier is leading Washington 60-59. About 5 minutes remaining in that basketball game. 2:44 to go here, 77-46. North Carolina leads Navy. Here's a steal. Williams to the basket and a jam.
Well, what a good play. He kept the ball in bounds. He was tight walking the sideline. The steal and the finish.
Chris Williams, the freshman from Savannah.
Well, he talked about being one of the best athletes on this squad or at Navy for a long time. Chris Williams, tight walks and then goes to the hoop. The good steal, the good finish.
And coming into this game, surprisingly, Navy had won 4 straight basketball games, 6 of the last 7. And jokingly, Bill Guthridge talked about wanting to snap that streak coming into this one.
Well, they put a little snap to it. It took a while to get rolling, but his team has been very patient. They didn't force the issue when sometimes you try to. You want to do too many things too fast.
Their last meeting, 1959, in the NCAA tournament at Madison Square Garden when the Middies beat them 76-63. So Haywood, the freshman from Dudley, North Carolina, with 2 points, 79-48. Our score. Let's check in with Armin Catane.
You know, it's interesting here is Scott Williams just entered the game. He's a walk-on here at North Carolina. He's the son of Roy Williams. You know, Roy's got his eyes on this game. Scott told us yesterday that some games he eats a lot in games he doesn't think he's going to play. He says the line of demarcation for North Carolina for him is 30 points is where we're at right now. 31.
So Roy Williams, his Kansas Jayhawks with the chance to win it all this season, a #1 seed. Some upcoming games that we that you can expect to see this afternoon and this evening. Illinois, Chicago, UNCC here. Richmond, South Carolina in the East. That's in D.C.
How about that Maryland squad? They beat Kansas early in the season. They beat this North Carolina team. They've stubbed their toe a couple times, but when they play well, I think they can play with anybody in the country. And a lot of teams fear playing them. Laron Prophet is awfully good at the wing position.
Owens stroking it. Max Owens, a freshman from Macon, Georgia. Maryland playing Utah State out west in Sacramento. .117 to go, and the ball knocked out of bounds as Navy got a hand on it. So an easy day for the North Carolina starters. Here's a Sacramento bracket: Arizona, Nicholls State, Tennessee, Illinois State, Illinois, South Alabama, and Maryland, Utah State.
And you love the Tennessee-Illinois State matchup. Kevin Stallings, Illinois State, very good. Rico Hill, terrific player. Tennessee, Jerry Green has some good guards. Tony Harris, a freshman, Brendan Wharton. These guys can put the ball in the hole, so that's a terrific matchup.
And the baseline jump shot is good for Brian Bursticker. 83 to 48. Substitutes getting some really good minutes here in the second half of play. Now the other part of the bracket out west in Boise, Idaho, Arkansas, and Nebraska. That'll be a great first-round game. Utah, San Francisco, Temple, West Virginia, and Cincinnati, Northern Arizona.
Yeah, you mentioned Arkansas, Nebraska. Teron Lou for Nebraska runs the show. Arkansas, Nolan Richardson, those guys will get after you for 40 minutes, full court, they'll play a lot of players.
They got a great point guard, too, in Kareem Reed from St. Raymond's in the Bronx. 48 seconds remaining, 83 to 49. And who do you like as an upset pick in the tournament this year, John?
Well, I think it's hard to call. I think the four teams, the four #1 seeds are up there. But you know what? Cincinnati's playing awfully well. They're a team that can cause some problems for some people. Bomber Michael Brooker, who's known for his shooting ability.
Michael, freshman from Sandersville, Georgia, makes it an 86-49 game. 20 seconds to go. And a wide open look for Jeremy Toten. He's a sophomore from Evansville, Indiana. So in the East here at Hartford, North Carolina advances, defeating Navy. They await the winner of the UNC Charlotte, Illinois, Chicago game. And later on tonight, Princeton, UNLV, and Michigan State and Eastern Michigan.
Two well-coached games in our teams, the UNC Charlotte and Illinois, Chicago. North Carolina, I'm not sure they want to face Charlotte. That's one of those things, the in-state things that they probably don't need to be able to play that. But I know Charlotte wants to win that game. They can't look past, though, Jimmy Williams Ball Club. Melvin Watkins' team is Charlotte. Very good, very disciplined. They'll put the ball in down low to DeMarco Johnson. The matchup will be tough. If Illinois Chicago can hang in with the inside, they do have the outside power.
8 seconds to go. Outlet pass, Newby. He's got somebody with him and tries to jam it, but a little short on that vertical leap, and that's the end of this one. North Carolina advances to the next round as they beat Navy 88 to 52. Our final score once again, Carolina winning it 88 to 52. Our Chevrolet most valuable players of the game from the Naval Academy: Hassan Booker, 10 points and 5 rebounds, and Antoine Jameson, 17 points and 14 rebounds. Now let's go to New York, where Greg Gumbel is standing by.
All right, Gus, so #1 seeds are now 53-0 in tournament play, 88-52. Meanwhile, look at what's happening in Washington, D.C. Washington is leading Xavier 65-62. They are under 3 minutes to play. Let's join the Huskies and the Musketeers, Sean McDonough and Bill Rafters.
6 remaining, Washington by 3. The Huskies clad in purple. Halo Green of Washington just called for his 4th foul. And it's a double bonus situation now. So James Posey will shoot 2. He has 13, now 14 points. This has been a tight game throughout. The Washington lead was 8 at halftime. Both teams essentially in the double bonus. The next foul on Xavier is 10, and a 2-shot opportunity for Washington. Plenty of timeouts. Xavier has the arrow pointing in its direction. One on the leg of Watts, so he goes to the bench to have that taken care of, and Dan Dickow comes in for Washington.
And that happened in front of us when he dove for the loose basketball. They've been taking care of that during the timeout. Good effort by him.
And welcome those of you who have watched North Carolina defeat Navy 88-52. The Tar Heels, the first team to win in the 1998 NCAA tournament. First win in the tournament for Bill Guthridge as the head coach. #1 seed in the East. Washington, the #11 seed in the East, with a 1-point lead on the 6th seed. Xavier, as we approach 2.5 minutes remaining.
Motion for round 1. Nice help. See Posey looming in the back. Drags a lot of body on the big guy.
Surprised Bob Bender didn't use one of those timeouts he has to get Watts back into the ballgame quickly instead of taking him out just after blood worked on.
I don't know if he's ready yet. I see him standing over there. I think you're right. He's such a valuable weapon for them.
Yeah, you don't want him out at serious crunch time. Lenny Brown missed a long one, but Braggs ran it down. Now they're stuck with Watts out of the game here on this possession.
They weren't finished with him. That was the problem.
So they could have used the timeout to take the time to get it ready.
The way they're going, he wouldn't have been ready either.
On the shot clock. Brown missed the pull-up from the foul line. Out of bounds. Last touch by Xavier.
And they're getting him in now.
Number 24, Donald.
Here comes Donald Watts back in for the freshman Dickow. I mentioned how close this game has been. It's been tied on 8 occasions. There have been 9 lead changes.
They had 1 5-second. Look at this help.
Tough catch by Watts, and then a foul called and a reach-in on Lenny Brown, and he is fouled out.
Oof. Boy, that's one they almost had. Good job defensively. A gamble pass. A different team without Lenny Brown running the show out there.
He's their second leading scorer for the season. He's their leading 3-point shooter.
Really nothing to go to here, Sean. I mean, just running to the middleman, the 4-man on the press, and they're very lucky to get it in and get to the free throw line.
Brown fouls out. 10 points, and Watts had kind of a tough day of the line. 7 out of 12. Shoots 2. There's his dad, Slick Watts, the former Seattle Supersonic, for those of you just joining us.
Oh, and you do that with your brother, I'm sure. At his game, you know how a father feels. Makes him move.
3-point game. Xavier's best 3-point shooter is just fouled out. What a terrific game this has been to open the action here in Washington, D.C. 1.5 minutes to go, and a whistle for a holding call on Watts.
And that is the right one, too. Posey tried to avoid. Very physical by Watts.
Huskies number 24, Donald Watts.
With a minute called for a second foul for the Huskies, and that sends Posey to the line. James has 15 points. He's one of the best free throw shooters in the Atlantic 10, 82%, number 3 in the conference.
And 2 lane violations. They should make sure that they stand still on the next one.
6 out of 7 now from the line today for Posey. The winner meets the winner of the game next here in Washington, D.C. In South Carolina and Richmond. Tonight, Indiana and Oklahoma, Connecticut and Fairleigh Dickinson. It's a 1-point lead for Washington.
With quick inbounds, diffuse the press.
Watts stepped on the sideline in front of the Xavier bench as he tried to get through that double team.
They never stop it. I mean, the very good pressing team wasn't as effective all day long against Bobby Bender. His team showed great preparation. Xavier now with the timeout, a full one.
Bob Bender's team just committed its 26th turnover despite the turnovers. The Huskies lead by 1 with 1:23 remaining in Washington, D.C. Washington has shot 53% from the floor. That's Joe Prosser, the mother of Xavier coach Skip Prosser. Xavier with the ball, down by 1.
Usually trying to get Posey involved.
He has the ball now. Braggs on the court. Williams, Lumpkin, and Johnson. The ball kicked. They'll reset a fresh 35 for Xavier on the shot clock.
Possession with a new shot good save, Sean, too, because Posey had a nice little dive to the box, presented himself to the basketball.
Mentioned Washington has shot 53% from the floor. Xavier 39%. The Huskies have won 33 games in a row when they've outshot their opponent. And they still have the lead as Lumpkin's 3 hit the rim and went over the backboard.
I think you got to put it on the floor, get to the goal a little bit, or get Posey on the box. And there's the mom. Oh, the anguish. Why did he choose this career?
X just 2 out of 15 from behind the arc today. And those who just joined us, Lenny Brown, their best three-point shooter, is fouled out. 10 points.
1 minute to go in regulation.
1 minute left in regulation time. Washington trying to finish off the upset. Nearly a 10. It is 10 in the backcourt.
Wow, they had 10, but they got a foul.
Oh, my goodness.
Ooh, that was 10.
It was actually 11. The shot clock showed 24 when the whistle blew. And the dribbler Luton was just straddling midcourt. Now, of course, they don't go by the clock for the 10 counts. The official goes by his own swing of the arm. But by the shot clock, they got 11 in the backcourt. And the foul instead on Posey, his 3rd. And another miss from the free throw line by Washington. Now 10 out of 20 from the line.
76% free throw shooter, too. Xavier's got to think, get it to the rim with the drive or Posey on the box.
Xavier down 1. There is the drive. Lumpkin, tough shot. He was fouled.
Now that's more like it. Take advantage. Give yourself a chance. If they seal it off, kick it out to somebody.
4 fouls now on Todd McCullough. So Green and McCullough of Washington have 4 each. And Lumpkin will shoot 2.
For Xavier, Gary Lumpkin at the line.
He's a 78% free throw shooter. Has 10 points today. The game is tied at 67 with 42.5 remaining.
Washington, Bob Bender just signaled if he makes it, he wants a timeout. He's not going to permit his team to inbound and not be prepared for the press.
Xavier leads by 1. The 2 misses at the other end, followed by 2 free throws made by Gary Lumpkin, the junior from Newcastle, Delaware. 42.5 seconds remaining. Timeout, Washington. Has 3. The arrow still in favor of Xavier. And it'll be Washington ball. Down by 1 with 42.5 left.
And what they're doing now is it's important where Posey plays. He's on the inbounder. He sometimes drifts off and doubles up. Here he comes, the double. And they got to step and go. And they may have a 5-second. They force the timeout. Boy, do they put some pressure. You've got to do it. They got a 20. You've got to do a good job running the baseline and timing it with the dive to the basketball. They have struggled with turnovers all game.
2:42 here in Washington, D.C., Richmond, and South Carolina at approximately 2:47. Again, trouble inbounding. They get it into Wilton. Now Dion Luton. 30 on the shot clock. Game clock now 35.
Watch generally maybe with some penetration. McCullough's got to get to the block, ball side.
McCullough playing with 4 fouls, guarded by T.J. Johnson, who has 4. Green with the ball has 4. Shot clock at 12.
1-4. The double.
Washington needs to start looking toward the basket. The pull-up by Luton. 11 seconds left. Washington retakes the lead.
Wow.
Timeout called by the Huskies.
They were stuck. Watts with the double got a little bit confused. And Dion Wooten, who shot the basketball extremely well during the course of the game. Well, you need somebody to step up and show onions. And how about this one? A little bounce, the draw, the trigger, and some cut.
Lumpkin, hot shot, well short, bobbled and caught by McCullough.
He was out of bounds when he got it.
He was out of bounds with 1.7 seconds left. Bob Bender wants a timeout. Xavier wanted one as well. And they charged the timeout to Xavier. Now they're all pointing at each other saying they wanted a timeout too. Charge it to them. We'll sort it out when we come back.
Well, mommies die for their boys, and Miss Prosser a little bit upset with the outcome, but the penetration, Washington went big for this very reason. Forced a tough shot and rebound, but unfortunately, as you'll see, that foot on the baseline, 1.7, plenty of time. Now we get another timeout.
20 called by Bob Bender. That's it for timeouts. Neither team has a timeout left. With 1.7 seconds left. And that's time to catch and shoot. It's time to lob. It's time to do a lot of things.
You can actually bounce it once. They run a inbounds, both guys on each box, and they loop him out. Now, it's usually one of the bigger people, not Posey. Now, let's see how they set up. They got Posey on a wing. This is a different look on the inbounds. You may get Johnson with a little screen for Posey.
Lumpkin inbound. Johnson right underneath the basket.
The vision's going to be deterred now with the big guy on the ball for Lumpkin.
Xavier down one. They go right underneath. Shot blocked. Posey's follow blocked as well. And Washington wins. And the Xavier bench can't believe there wasn't a foul call.
They went big. The gamble worked. Bob Bender, Femerling, and the big guy McCullough on the floor. Of course, Femerling takes away vision, and then the big people underneath able to diffuse, and exultation on the one end. Skip Prosser obviously dejected. Look at the coach. He never got up that high when he played. Oh, goodness. Winners bound. And unfortunately, the counter, not a joyous moment.
For Skip Prosser, who thought there was a foul. You could read his lips. Foul. There were 41 fouls called in the game, but not the one when the Prosser family needed it most. And Xavier, the 6th seed, is out in the first round. Washington, in the NCAA tournament for the first time since 1986, has its first win in an NCAA game since 1984, when they beat Nevada, Reno, and Duke before losing to Dayton in the Sweet 16 14 years ago. They'll have a chance to advance to the Sweet 16 if they can beat the winner of our next game, South Carolina and Richmond, coming up next in Washington, D.C. Tonight, Indiana and Oklahoma, Connecticut, and Fairleigh Dickinson. The Chevrolet players of the game, Dion Luton with a big shot to give the Huskies the lead to stay, with 11 seconds remaining, and James Posey, brilliant, leading the comeback for Xavier in the second half. Washington a winner by 1. We'll rejoin Greg Gumbel in a moment.
Allow Saxon to touch it. Make Jones handle the basketball as much as possible and close on him.
They do get it into the hands of Saxon. And Maryland backs off.
That's when they'll break it a little easier with Saxon handling.
Rice. Jumper doesn't fall for Pharaoh Davis. Back in the game. Ball knocked around and controlled by Yesikevicius. 6